Alright guys, welcome back to another deck profile video. This is actually the deck I played for Nats. This was a 7-coup, so this was a pretty cool leader. I played this for Nats. I was pretty undecided. It was between this, well, it's funny because I was playtesting Soul Striker, I was playtesting Launch and Vegito, and none of them really seemed to cut it. And a buddy of mine, Justin, Justin said that he had the entire package, and we put it together and we play tested maybe like 8 games, maybe for like 2-3 hours, and it actually was surprisingly very good, to the point where I felt comfortable enough to take it next day to Nats. And basically the point of this deck is just turbo into Turning the Tide and get a board big enough to, if you Turning Tide the opponent, you can take them from 5-0, 6-0, 4-0, whatever you need to, right? So it's going to be a really quick deck profile. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but the first thing we want to talk about is basically the package itself. So the first couple of cards we have over here is basically the way you get your ramp off, right? So here we have 4 Whis and here we have 4 Beerus. This is a 50 card. It's a strict 50 card deck because you need to be at 50 cards. You need to open up with either preferably a Whis or a Beerus, and you need to open up with a couple of other stuff. So Whis basically says tap 1, draw 1, and look through your deck so you get some deck knowledge, and place the Beerus from your deck into your energy. Beerus basically says he doesn't untap, right? So you can't untap, and the turn you put Beerus in your energy, you can't add more cards into your energy. But the purpose is you're able to turbo awaken. You awaken when you're at 3 life, or your secondary awakening, which is 99% of the time. When you're at 4 or more energy, you get to draw 1, untap 1, add a god card from your drop into your Z energy, usually one of these. So basically the turn 1 play is to charge something, play the Whis, Whis puts the Beerus into your energy, and now you're immediately at 2 energy. Then turn 2, you can play another Whis, so you can just, let's say for example you have a Beerus. Beerus's activate main says tap a blue, draw 1, just put him right into your energy. So now going into turn 2, you're literally at, you charge for the turn, and now you're at 1, 2, 3, you're basically at 4 energies. So now you can awaken turn 2. And the leader is really cool because when you awaken, it basically says at 5 energy you have double strike, and it basically says at 7 energy you get double strike and crit. So you can turbo to 7 energy, and it's amazing. So this is a ramp package, right? So basically you tap 1 for the Beerus, you tap 1 for the Whis, you get your ramp off, and now they're in your energy. The reason why this deck is actually just incredible is because of the new card that we got this set, the TP. It's the winner, well, in this case it's the winner, but it's Super Saiyan 3 Vegito Ultimate Battle Form. This card is insane. So basically for 2 energy, if you have 3 or more energy, you draw a card and you play this card. And you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, you bounce it to their hand. So it's amazing because you can bounce their Z battle cards. But at the start of your opponent's turn, you pick up a card in your energy, place it in your hand, and add a card from your hand to your energy. So the purpose is really on turn 2, once you have 2 Beeruses in your energy, you basically awaken, so you have 2 energy up, you tap 2 for this, and you're able to just add the Beerus, start of your opponent's turn, you add the Beerus to your hand, and let's say take something else and you just put it in, and now you're at a permanent ramp because the Beerus went in your hand. And it adds it in active mode, so it's not like you lose the energy because it's in rest. So this is a way to get your ramp permanent. This way you can turbo to basically 7 energy, and the goal of the deck is just turbo into Turning the Tide and win that way, right? And because we're actually blue, and in Nats we were preparing for the U7 meta, we had to run Peel Off Mine Shoe. This card is generally good in all scenarios, but prevents Z energy, prevents them from getting Z energy by bottom decking it. It also removes keyword skills like double strike, triple strike, barrier, annoying things like that. And it draws 1 on play. It's just a staple. So this is basically the blue packages that we wanted to go with. So basically, for example, let's say turn 1 you charge this, you tap an energy, you play Whis, and let's say Whis puts a Beerus into your energy, right? Your opponent goes, he swings, whatever, that's fine. Turn 2 you restand, let's say you charge this, and let's say you tap 1 for a Whis, so let's say you tap 1 for a Beerus, you add Beerus into your energy, and you draw 1, so they both replace themselves. Now you're at 4 energy, so you basically awaken, you untap 1, you draw 1, and you just tap 2 on 2 to go into your Vegito. You draw a card, and at the start of your opponent's turn, you add this to your hand, and you can just pull whatever card you want in your energy. And next turn, start the ramp with the Beerus all over again and again and again, right? So you really want to see your Vegitos. Turn 1, you really want to open up with at least 1 Whis, at least 1 Beerus, or 2 Whis or 2 Beerus, and you definitely want to see your Vegito so you can get that permanent ramp started, right? So just so you guys quickly understood, you know, how the deck quickly works. So this is our 1-drops. This is basically what we want to start out with. And the deck is really relying on SS3 Vegito. So you really want to see it early and often and get your ramps permanent. Now, for some reason, throughout the game, let's say you're playing it and, you know, sometimes I'm at 50 cards, but let's say you don't see your permanent ramp. We also run Zeno Super Combo because we want to be able to make that ramp permanent. So here's our super combos over here. So we've got 3 Zenos. So Zeno can pick up the Beerus from the energy and place a card from your hand into your energy, making the ramp permanent. And we run 1 Kefla over here for the U7 matchup. It bottom decks the 6-drop. So if they want to swing with it, you can just bottom deck it and they won't be able to go, you know, full aggro with it. So this is super combos. These 3 and the Vegitos are a way to get your ramp permanent. And that's really the focus of the deck, is to make that ramp as permanent as possible. And the rest of the cards, because we're a blue deck, we want to play a lot of defense. So obviously we're going to be running 4 D-Magic. Just a staple in blue, you need D-Magic, sparking, everything is good. We've got 3 Sensu Bean over here, right? So standard blue package, Sensu Bean is good, extends plays, extends turns. We've got 2 Realm of the Gods and 3 UI. Honestly, you don't even need Realm of the Gods. You can just go 4 UIs. But I wanted the draw, I wanted the filter, and it's really good against... early on, you can just peel off Mind Shoe and bottom deck something or something like that. It's just really good, and worst case scenario is a charge. So since we're playing blue, we're playing defense, we have all this energy, we want to utilize this energy, and UI is amazing. Honestly, you could even go 4 on this. 15k 1 energy is insane, or on offense, if you're swinging with your leader and your double strike crit, you can just UI Kamehameha and really get that double strike crit through. The rest of the cards is more defensive blue stuff. So we've got 317 TPs. I have the winner ones. I gotta put them in, right? So I haven't had a chance to do that. But 317 TPs over here. It's just a negate. It's a floodgate. It's good. 1 Majin Buu. We can only run 1. We've got 2 Oobs. Oob is fantastic. It's removal. It really helps sweep the board. Because we have a lot of energy, we like to get into the battle step with Zeno. We like to get into the battle step in general. We've also got 1 Goku Black and 1 8-drop Sun Gohan, Power Reclaim, to bottom deck with this and bottom deck with this. So if opponent wants to swing with a barrier, you can peel off Mind Shoe and just bottom deck with these guys respectfully. Now the purpose of the deck is to turbo, and once you turbo, you really want to go into your 6-drop Vegeta as quick as possible. Vegeta can either ramp the next 4 cards, or Vegeta can just go ahead and add those 4 blue cards to your hand, as long as they're blue, right? And there's only 1 black card we run, that's our Overrealm. That's going to be Secret ID. So the chances of us hitting a non-blue card is very low, so Vegeta's perfect. And once we're able to ramp, what we're able to do is play our Secret Rare Kaio-ken Goku United Divinity. So let's say, for example, we ramped, we'll just tap 2, we'll untap all our energy, and we'll just turbo into Turning the Tide over here. So we run 2 copies. And then we have these guys over here. This is more for the U7 matchup with all their barrier threats and just to get rid of wide boards. Usually I side it out in like other matchups. And the apes is necessary in case you're playing against blue or against your opponent and you're worried about the Jiren counterplay. This is basically your route to the Jiren counterplay. So if you have 12 energy, you can essentially Turning the Tide. And then if your opponent Jirens, you're able to just tap 5 and baby ape them, right? This is pretty much the main structure of the deck. And to Turning the Tide your opponent is so easy. You could do it as long as they are 4 energy. So if they're at 4 energy, you're able to just quickly ramp up and just do whatever you need to over here. In fact, it's insanely easy. You just want to make sure you have your Zeno Super combos. You have 5 life. So, or you see your Vegito, so you're able to pick up. So basically, you can go from turn 1 to having 2 energy into turn 2 to having 4 energy. You pick one of them up, so one of them is permanent. So now you have 3 permanent energy and 1 floating energy. The next turn you start your turn, you're already at 5 energy. And then you can just Vegito again, right? So now you're at 4 permanent energy. You can Zeno to get that 5th energy. And now suddenly turn 3, turn 4, you charge to 6, and now the Vegeta is live. So you could just tap 6, Vegeta, ramp 2 cards, Kaio-ken if you wanted to, and just Turning the Tide your opponent if they're at 4 or more energy. So usually that's how I won maybe about 95% of my games, was literally just getting to the necessary energy, just going from Vegeta into the Secret Rare, into tapping 7 for Turning the Tide. And sometimes you'd want to set up the board. So sometimes you'd do, let's say for example, you had 9 energy. You'd play the Vegeta, you'd untap, and you'd set up the board. Maybe you'd play like a Vegito, so it was there, right? Or maybe you'd want to play an Oob, right? So you can get a body like Oob on the board, so you know that, okay, if they're at 6, I can, you know, try to take them there. And you have to understand, when you're at 7 energy, your leader's double strike crit. So with turning the tide over there, you immediately have 3 crit damage that you're threatening your opponent with. One is the 30k crit with the turning the tide. The other is a double strike crit with the leader. So now you're able to go 30 crit, double strike crit. And this just guarantees a 4th damage. Or maybe if they're at 5, sure, you can go 40 and it's triple tag, you can go 40 again. Not to mention you'll also have a Vegeta. So now you can go Vegeta and then 40 and then 40. So you're able to take him from 4 to 0 very easily. You're able to take him from 5 to 0, 6 to 0, as long as you have an Oob, as long as you have a board, and you're able to really utilize your energy properly. We have a Z deck. Z deck is very important. For this, in this case, we decided to go with a Cell, and we wanted to go with 2 Beerus. Beerus is really for the U7 for the barrier removal. We need barrier removal. This is really good. The Goku just prevents your opponent from having a big hand size. We wanted to get 1 Z extra. We want to get a 21, and of course we need our Z leader because the Z leader is cracked once we get it off. But, you know, there's certain turns where maybe you have energy to use before you use your Secret Rare and you don't know what to play. You can play this and Z-Stack, give a barrier. You can play a Z extra, so even if you're turning the tide, as long as you have Z energy, you have 10k combo. Or you can just tap 2 for Beerus or tap 3 for Cell. Clear the board, take care of that. There's a Pan matchup I played, and this Cell was extremely clutch because they had 3-4 bodies, and I just was able to tap 3, sweep them all, right? And you don't have to worry because you have Zeno Super Combo and Tabine to really just untap your energy starting next turn. And that's the good thing about this deck is even if you're tapped out, you don't want to spark him for D-Magic, you really don't have to, right? Finished X2, and then the last game I forgot to charge. I was in so much stress that I forgot to charge, and I forgot to play Turning the Tide. So I was at 6 energy with Turning the Tide in hand, and I forgot to charge, so I couldn't turn the tide. And it sucks, but I dropped to X3 after that. So as soon as I forgot to charge, it was over. So it sucks, but it happens to all of us, especially under these situations, especially when you're playing 8 rounds and you're tired and you have an E, and you know, it's going to happen. So the deck performed fantastically. It was just me. You know, I just misplayed myself. So the deck really does carry. The deck is really good. You want to make sure it's as consistent as possible, and you know, you'll be fine. Sometimes your opponent will side certain cards, so Jiren is an annoying card for that, and they'll side in the Cunning, so you have to be careful of the Cunnings as well. But we really don't care much about the Cunnings because we know we could just go ahead and turn the tide our opponent once we get to 7 energy, because we're going to have, you know, swinging for 3 anyway. So usually if my opponent Cunnings, I'll say, okay, now I have to just think of a different win con, but it's possible. Let's take a look at our side deck. We have 3 Desperate Measures for the 21 matchup. It was a matchup I was not able to practice. On paper, it made a lot of sense to stop their ramp early on and keep your ramp going. But I wanted to have 3 Desperate Measures. I also don't have any counterplay in the deck. So I figured Desperate Measures was perfect, and it's good against 21 to stop their ramp. There's going to be Green Gohan. There's going to be hand control. So I know that I need to have something for that. So we have both the Burra and we have both Smoke Dragon. So the Burra is great because it draws 2 on defense, right? And Smoke Dragon is great because it draws 2 on offense against them. You just want to be careful because you definitely don't want to hit these off the 6-drop Vegeta. That would feel so bad. But Smoke Dragon is also barrier removal. It's also a draw 2. It's also unison removal. It's absolutely fantastic. 2 Borgos for blue mirror matchups against Gogeta, things like that. You Borgos them at the right time and you're pretty much, you know, set really good. 2 Mafubas, same with that. Against Gogeta, you hit him with the Mafuba, and now the Secret Rare can't Aegis on defense, and they can't untap 2 because it's pretty much, they don't recognize the keyword skill, the Aegis keyword skill with this. So Mafuba is really great. It's also good against U7. You hit the 6-drop with it, so they can't infinite swing you or swing with you 5 times. And then just a couple of one Raditz against against just general, right? If I want to have a blocker against most stuff, or if I want to establish a unison before I turn the tide. And this one is really good because it just basically is like a mini boob on 3. Mini Boo on 3. So we have Tapion, which is good against the Gogeta as well. Eats up their Secret Rare and negates the Aegis even if it can't be removed. It's good against their Secret Rare, their 8-drop, the one that's plays for 1 energy. So it's perfect against that. And that's really all I shattered it in against Gogeta, really. Unexpected turn for Jiren, for wide boards, for black, for certain colors and certain cards like that. Really only sided it in 1 game. That was against Pan and never really came up. So there's really no need for it. And then Baby, it's a unison removal because Jiren does stack up the unison quite a bit. Baby is really good for that. And it doesn't matter how many markers it has, it'll just get rid of it. Didn't really need to side this in at all. Didn't really play against Jiren. I was looking forward to playing against Jiren. I think I have a good matchup with Cell and with a couple other stuff, but never really happened. Did play against Pan. My only losses really for the day was against Green Gohan, where I forgot to charge my energy, or I had the game, so Green Gohan's not really a problem. Once you go first, let's say, and they get to 4, then you're pretty much winning, right? You just have to make sure you play defensively, see your Smoke Dragons, see your Deburas, be able to just play accordingly. My only other loss was basically U7. So those two were my losses, and my last loss was against a cool dude. His name was Maxwell. He's using Future Gohan. So really, really cool Future Gohan build. He literally crit me and crit my Secret Rare right off. So the first life was literally my Secret Rare. And I knew it was there because I searched through my deck with the Whis and I didn't see it. So I'm like, it's in my life. And he swung at me for 25k crit. And I was like, man, I can't combo out of this. I'm not at necessary life. I don't have the right cards to combo out. It's either I drop 3-4 cards or I take the crit and hope it's not the Secret Rare. Took the crit, went from 8 to 7, and it was a Secret Rare. And it's pretty much over at that point. I still managed to keep it in. But unfortunately, I charged to 7. I needed to turn the tide, and I didn't see it. And that was really it. And this is basically what this deck is good for. It's a cheese deck. It's only really good for best of 1. Nats was best of 1. It was best of 1 preside. And that's why I felt more comfortable taking this deck in, just so I can turn the tide and take advantage of it before it gets banned. Because it's pretty much is definitely going to get banned next set. And unfortunately, I don't think this deck is really that good without turning the tide because of the way that I've built it. There's no reason to play this over something, let's say Gogeta or 21 for Nats, unless you're just turboing into turning the tide with this Secret Rare, right? And that's unfortunate, but you know that's really the play of it is. So we're pretty much done with the deck profile. Wanted to make a quick one for you guys, but I also wanted to show you a couple of the lines of the play that you guys can do. So real quick, I'll show you guys those lines of play that you guys can do, and it's actually really cool. So basically, we want to make sure we have Beerus's, we want to make sure we have this and this. And definitely want to have, let's say for example, we have 2 Zenos, and once you have these 3 pieces in hand, you're pretty much set. You're pretty much ready to go. Your opponent really cannot kill you at all, right? So let's actually, I guess, walk through a couple of these scenarios over here. Let's say for example, you decide you're going first and you charge something, and let's say you tap 1, you play Whis, you look through your deck, count how many super combos are in your deck, count and see if your Secret Rare, see if your turning the tide is there, see if your 6-drop Vegeta is there, so you know what to charge and what not to charge. And once you get the hang of the deck, you know your ratios. I'm at a hard 50. Once you know your ratios, you're able to look through the deck and see efficiently. So let's say turn 1 you do this, you pass. You can swing if you're going second, swing. Let's say you draw a card. Now it's your opponent's turn. They'll swing. You'll take the damage. You want to turbo to 5 as quickly as possible. So you'll take the damage. If you want to combo, you can if they decide to combo. But you'll take it. You'll go down to 7. Now it's your turn. You'll draw for turn. Let's say you draw this one. So Beerus's effect is his permanent is he doesn't restand. But it doesn't matter because it still helps count for your energy. Your leader gets 1k for every card in your energy, and on Awaken it gets 1k for every card in energy and Z energy, right? So let's say it's turn 2. Let's say you have another copy of, let's say in this case you don't have a Whis, but let's say you have a copy of Beerus in your hand. So you tap 1, you activate Beerus, you draw 1, so both these replace themselves. This goes right over here, and now you suddenly have 4 energy. You'll Awaken. You'll untap an energy, you'll draw 1, you'll tap 2, you go straight into Vegeta and draw another card. And you can swing, you can combo, do whatever you want to. You're basically swinging for 15, 16, 17, 18, basically 19k. If you want to combo, you're swinging for 20, 24k, right? So at the start of your turn, you'll add the Beerus to hand. Let's say you add the Beerus, and let's say you decide you put the Whis. Now you don't need Whis anymore. Why? Because now you have a constant loop with this Beerus. Your opponent swings, your opponent attacks. Sure, let's say you take the damage, you combo, do whatever you need to. You can turbo down to 6 life, 5 life, whatever the case is. Let's say they keep you at 6. They don't want to take you to 5 or whatever the case is. Your turn, you draw, do whatever you need to. Let's say, for example, you charge. Let's say we charge a Goku Black over here. Immediately, you just tap 1, you Beerus, the same Beerus you added, draw 1, and now you're at 6 energy, right? Really cool. Let's say you have another Vegeta. You can Vegeta again if you have another one. If you don't have a Vegeta, you'll just play normal blue stuff, play good blue stuff until you're able to build that position, right? If you have a Vegeta, that's fantastic. If you don't have one, it's not really a big deal as long as you have Zeno, because now you're at 5. Let's say you pass, you swing, you're swinging for double strike now. Your opponent attacks you, you're able to Zeno, build some Z energy, you add the Beerus to hand, and let's say you want to charge a Whis, and now you're at a permanent 5 energy, right? If you have 5 life, you have 5 energy. Let's say you have another Zen and you use it. Let's say you don't. You pass, you draw for turn, you charge, you're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guess what's coming out? You're going straight to the 6 sharp right over here, right? Look at top 4. You can add 4 blue cards, whatever the case is. Let's say it's these guys. You can either ramp these if you want to. You're at 7 energy, so now your leader's a double strike crit. You can ramp these, you can add them into your hand, do whatever you need to. Let's say you do this play while your opponent's at 4 energy, right? And you're able to set up a board state, or let's say you wait until next turn, you're able to set up these guys over here, right? You're pretty much set because you just ramp these 4 if you need to. You can even play a Z battle card. You tap 2, you go straight into this. As long as your opponent has 4 energy, you're able to just turn in the tide them straight ahead, right? And if you want to, if you're playing against blue, you're worried your opponent has sided into Jiren, you want to wait until you get to 12 energy, and you want to hold on to the 8. You don't want to set it out in that matchup, right? So against them, you just basically tap 7 for turning the tide, they'll Jiren, and you just ape them, and you pretty much have game right then and there. So this deck can really turbo. I've killed people on 4 energy, and as long as you see these pieces, you'll be able to win. The only weakness of the deck is you have to be able to see these pieces. If you don't, you're pretty much not in a good position, right? And that's really it. The deck just crumbles when you don't see your 1-drops, and you don't see your Whis, when you don't see your Beerus. So that's why I said it's sort of like a cheese deck, right? It's best of 1 deck. You just turbo it into turning the tide into 6-drop Vegeta. You have curve value. You try to stall out the game until you're in a good position to win. And that's really what blue does. That's really what this deck does over here, right? So this was basically it. This was the deck. This is what I played at Nats. I know some of you were asking. I know Rising Phoenix, you were asking, so hopefully this helps you as well, right? And the deck is good. The deck is amazing. If Turning the Tide does get hit, I foresee it getting hit. If Turning the Tide does get hit, then this version is completely useless. There's no point. But here, if Turning the Tide doesn't get hit, then this deck is going to be pretty insane as long as you set up the ratios and you see what you need. I think the deck is definitely legit. It's definitely a threat. Your opponent can side in certain cards to prevent it from going there. I did see a lot of 7-coup, so shout out to all the guys that were playing 7-coup at Nats. I saw a lot of you guys, and I saw a lot of the different lists. Some people were running Beast Gohan, some people were running the kaio-ken, some people were running all sorts of other secret rares that I was not prepared for. So it's really good. Luckily, I did not see the mirror, which was good, because I did not want to face the mirror, because of course I don't have Jiren in my sideboard, and if they're running Beast Gohan, that could be super annoying, because the Beast Gohan lets your leader swing twice, so now the power gain is twice, so it's pretty cool. Anyways, this was the deck profile. This was my Z deck. This was my side deck. This was everything, the main deck. Hopefully you guys enjoy. That's a quick deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Thank you guys for watching as usual. I'm going to come up with the second part of the vlog for Nats. And let me know what else you guys want to see. If you guys want to see what some of our other teammates were playing, we had some U7. We had a Green Gohan. We had an 821. We had a lot of people playing a lot of different stuff. So if you guys want to see some of those other deck profiles, definitely let me know. Comment down below. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you so much. Have a nice day.